GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Montreal. Gas prices are hovering near $2 a liter as Middle East tensions push costs higher, and police just busted a counterfeit document lab downtown. Expect moderate traffic delays with road closures, and later tonight enjoy the floating outdoor movie night. Over to you, Jeff.
The city's floating outdoor movie night takes place this Friday at the Old Port, featuring a classic French-Canadian film projected onto a giant screen anchored on the river.
Admission is free. Attendees are encouraged to bring blankets, portable chairs, and snacks, while ferries run every 15 minutes from the Jacques Cartier Bridge to the viewing area.
Limited on-site parking is available for bicycles only, so most visitors rely on the STM Metro Line 4 stop at Place d'Armes, walking 10 minutes to the waterfront.
Lots to get to, and the floating outdoor movie night will start soon on the river, so let's begin together. Good morning, Montreal.
Gasoline prices across Quebec have surged toward $2 per liter, a level not seen in years, as ongoing tensions in the Middle East and other regions continue to pressure global oil markets. Canadian fuel analysts note that prices in Montreal rose from $150 per liter in February and have climbed repeatedly through the spring. The latest figures show the average pump price edging close to $2 per liter this week. Experts attribute the upward trend to supply disruptions and heightened geopolitical risk, which have kept wholesale costs elevated. The provincial regulator has warned that further spikes are possible if the situation abroad does not stabilize. Consumers in the island are feeling the impact on daily commutes and household budgets as the price trajectory remains upward, currently.
Police from the Sûreté du Québec moved in early this morning on a clandestine workshop in the city, seizing a makeshift laboratory that had been churning out forged identification and other false paperwork. Officers broke down the door, collected dozens of counterfeit documents, and arrested one suspect on the spot. The operation, coordinated with local investigators, marks the latest effort to disrupt an underground network supplying fake passports, driver's licenses, and employment records. Authorities said the seized equipment included high-resolution printers, specialized inks, and templates capable of reproducing official seals. The suspect, whose identity has not yet been released, faces charges of forgery and possession of counterfeit devices. Investigators emphasized that dismantling the lab will curb the flow of fraudulent documents that threaten public safety and the integrity of provincial records.
Quebec Premier Christine Fréchette is set to travel to Prince Edward Island today for a high-stakes meeting with Newfoundland and Labrador Premier Tony Wakeham, timed with the Council of the Federation Summit. The two leaders will sit down to renegotiate the long-standing Churchill Falls hydroelectric contract, seeking a fresh energy arrangement that could reshape power flows between the provinces. Officials say the talks aim to address lingering pricing disputes and to secure a more balanced revenue share as demand for clean electricity climbs. Both premiers will be accompanied by senior advisors, and the Council of the Federation will host the broader dialogue on inter-provincial cooperation. The outcome could influence future infrastructure projects in regional electricity markets across eastern Canada, making the meeting a focal point for energy policy observers and analysts alike.
Quebec's Food Safety Agency has launched a recall of lean ground beef sold at the Marché Atlas on Jean Talon Street East in St. Leonard. The product, packaged on July 8, is believed to present a health risk, prompting the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food to advise anyone who purchased the meat to stop using it immediately. MAPAQ officials say the recall remains active while they investigate the source of the contamination. Shoppers who bought the beef are instructed to return the package to the store for a full refund or contact the ministry for further guidance. The agency stresses that the recall applies only to the specific batch labeled with the July 8 packaging date and sold at the St. Leonard location. Authorities will continue testing to determine if additional distribution occurred.
The Société de l'Assurance Automobile du Québec released data showing that the province's vehicle fleet has become noticeably heavier. Over the 10-year span from 2016 to 2026, the average automobile now weighs roughly 140 kilograms more than it did a decade ago. The increase reflects not only a rise in the total number of cars on the road, but also a shift toward larger models and additional equipment that add mass. SAAQ officials said the trend mirrors broader industry patterns, with manufacturers offering more SUVs, crossovers, and electric vehicles that carry heavier battery packs. While the heavier fleet could affect fuel consumption and road wear, the agency emphasized that the figures are purely statistical and do not imply any immediate regulatory changes. The SAAQ plans to monitor the impact on emissions and safety standards in forthcoming reports.
Later we'll explore Quebec's first commercial morel mushroom farm and the worst spruce budworm outbreak in 50 years. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's jump straight into our headlines, and then Jeff Laflamme will take us through today's local stories.
Local mushroom enthusiasts have launched Quebec's first commercial morel farm, marking a shift from the province's long-standing tradition of foraging wild morels. The venture began today in a repurposed greenhouse on the outskirts of the region, where growers are carefully controlling temperature and moisture to coax the prized fungi to fruit. Morels, prized for their delicate flavor, have traditionally been a seasonal treasure collected by hikers and chefs alike, often fetching premium prices at market. By moving production indoors, the team aims to supply restaurants and specialty grocers year-round, reducing reliance on unpredictable wild harvests. The operation is already processing its first batch, and workers say the early yields look promising. If the pilot continues as planned, the farm could set a model for other growers seeking to diversify Quebec's agricultural portfolio.
Forests across the province are battling the most severe spruce budworm outbreak in 50 years. Officials estimate that the pest has damaged roughly 17.6 million hectares of spruce and fir, a scale not seen since the mid-70s. The infestation is spreading through remote woodlands and into areas that supply timber, maple syrup, and outdoor recreation for many families. Experts warn that weakened trees increase the risk of wildfires and can affect air quality for nearby neighborhoods. The Provincial Ministry of Forests has mobilized aerial spraying and ground crews, but the operation will run through the summer as the insects continue to proliferate. Residents who rely on forest trails or local wood products may notice fewer safe routes and higher prices as the damage persists. Municipal water managers are watching runoff from the affected catchments, since a weakened canopy can alter stream flow and quality.
The Quebec Housing Tribunal has cleared the way for a local family to occupy the Ahunsik duplex on September 1st. The decision comes after months of the family living in their car and setting up a temporary campsite in the duplex's driveway while the legal dispute unfolded. Tribunal members concluded that most household members are eligible to move into the unit, ending a precarious shelter situation. Officials noted that the ruling follows a review of tenancy rights and the family's documented hardship. The upcoming relocation will allow the family to secure stable housing before the autumn cooling period, shifting them from a mobile existence to a permanent address. The tribunal's order also signals that similar cases may be resolved through expedited hearings, though each situation remains subject to individual assessment.
Business leaders across the city are sounding the alarm over a lingering vacancy crisis on the main commercial corridors. A recent La Presse survey reveals that dozens of storefronts on key avenues remain empty, and owners say the backlog of unfilled spaces is choking foot traffic and sales. Retailers report that despite incentives announced last year, few landlords have moved to fill the gaps, leaving small shops to shoulder higher rent burdens while waiting for new tenants. The persistence of these vacancies, which have plagued the downtown core for years, is prompting calls for faster coordination between municipal officials and property owners. As the empty windows stretch farther each month, merchants warn that the slowdown could ripple into job losses and reduce tax revenue if not addressed promptly. Shoppers report finding fewer options for groceries and services, forcing many to travel farther for everyday needs.
On July 20th, the provincial government in Ottawa announced a joint agreement to speed up environmental assessments for major infrastructure and resource projects across the province. The new framework aims to cut the lengthy review periods that have frustrated developers and delayed projects such as highways, rail lines, and renewable energy facilities. By coordinating the provincial and federal steps, the process will move more quickly from initial study to final approval, potentially shaving months off timelines that affect everything from construction jobs to the delivery of clean energy power. Officials said the move responds to long-standing criticism that Canada's assessment system can stall investment, while still preserving core environmental safeguards. For commuters and residents, faster approvals could mean earlier access to improved transit routes and a quicker rollout of projects that support local economies.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what the afternoon holds for us.
A deepening low and southerly jet are reshaping Montreal's sky, turning humidity into a lingering overcast. On this date, the all-time high reached 31.1 degrees Celsius in 2018, a spike that rode a late summer heat wave sweeping southern Quebec. The all-time low fell to 13.7 degrees Celsius in 2025, recorded during an unusual early autumn cold snap that pushed the jet stream unusually far south. By contrast, the 30-year normal hovers around 25 for the high and 16 for the low, underscoring today's modest warmth. The past decade has seen several years where July temperatures nudged above the normal, hinting at a gradual shift. The radar screen is completely clear across the province, with no echo returning from any band. A low-pressure center is still approaching from the south, but the upper-level jet remains modest at 55 kilometers per hour, keeping moisture locked aloft. With the surface air already saturated, the lack of lift means no rain will develop today. I'm now turning to the noon outlook. At noon, Montreal sits under an overcast sky at 21 degrees Celsius, humidity 66%, and a low-pressure system that is falling. Southerly winds gust up to 37 kilometers per hour, feeling brisk against the damp air. The 500 hectopascal jet streams southward at 55 kilometers per hour, steering the unsettled mass across the St. Lawrence Valley. Because the jet is relatively shallow, lift remains weak and clouds persist without rain. Temperatures will climb to 29 degrees by mid-afternoon, then dip to 21 as the clouds thicken toward sunset. The ultraviolet index registers 4, and wind will stay near 35 kilometers per hour from the south. No weather alerts are in force. With the day set, let's look at the 5-day trend. Wednesday brings a cold front that will push the high down to 21 degrees and the low to 12, with overcast conditions lingering through the afternoon. Thursday shifts to a dry, high-pressure ridge, clearing the sky and allowing temperatures to rise to 24 under clear skies. Friday remains under the ridge, reaching 25 and a pleasant 16 at night, perfect for outdoor plans. Saturday sees the ridge strengthen, pushing the high to 29 and the low to 18, delivering a solid stretch of sunshine. Sunday the ridge eases slightly, bringing a modest overcast and a high of 30 with a low of 19, hinting at a warm weekend finish. The pattern shows a steady transition from unsettled to stable, with wind staying below 25 kilometers per hour after Thursday. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll break down today's moderate traffic snarls, preview the floating outdoor movie night, and recap the Habs re-signing Jard Davidson. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Honor Mercier Bridge is down to a single lane each way, forcing a steady queue from the East End suburbs into downtown. Expect travel times to double between the island and the South Shore, especially during the peak push toward the office core. Further west, Autoroute 520 West runs with a left lane closure between Ness and Griffith, shaving a few minutes off normal flow but keeping traffic moving. In the south, the Cavendish Boulevard overpass is under reconstruction, so drivers should use the adjacent Rue Saint-Pierre as a detour. Meanwhile, crews are repairing beams on the Claimant Bridge. The bridge remains open, but speed is limited to 15 kilometers per hour, adding a short delay for eastbound commuters. All other major arteries, including the Descurie and the Ville-Marie, are clear at this hour. Transit services report no interruptions, so the metro and bus network are operating on schedule for the afternoon rush.
Floating outdoor movie night on a floating platform at Parc Jean Drapeau offers a free cinema under summer sky, perfect for a lunch escape. Bring a blanket, grab a snack, and let St. Lawrence's waves set the backdrop. Tomorrow, Just for Laughs presents a stand-up comedy show at Place des Arts, part of City's Humor Festival, promising big laughs and a chance to see top comics live. The bill mixes rising stars with seasoned veterans, so there's something for every taste. Cirque du Soleil's Echo exhibition at Time Out Market lets you step behind the scenes of the famed circus with striking photos you rarely see from the arena. The images are drawn from recent tour, giving an intimate look you won't find online. At the base of Mount Royal, Les Tam Tams gathers drummers, dancers, and vendors every weekend, offering a soundtrack to your afternoon stroll. It's a perfect spot to pause, people watch, and soak up the city's multicultural rhythm. And now here's Jason with sports.
Here's the latest on Montreal's hockey scene, from coaching moves to roster updates. The Canadiens announced they have added Derek Lalonde to the staff as associate coach, bolstering the bench for the upcoming season. In addition, the club secured AHL forwards Jard Davidson and Hunter McCown with new contracts, keeping the depth pipeline strong. The Montreal Canadiens have locked in forwards Jard Davidson and Hunter McCown on 1-year, two-way deals for the 2027 season. The extensions preserve valuable depth in the organization and give the pair a clear path to contribute at the NHL level. On Monday, the Canadiens officially confirmed Derek Lalonde's appointment as associate coach, adding a veteran voice to the coaching roster. Lalonde, who previously served as an assistant with the Tampa Bay Lightning, brings playoff experience to the Habs bench.
Steve's Music Store on Ste. Catherine Street East in downtown Montreal has been a cornerstone of the city's music scene for 61 years. Founded by a passionate guitarist, the shop has stocked everything from vintage amps to first-edition sheet music, becoming a gathering place for budding artists and seasoned performers alike. This week, the family announced the closure of its final storefront, citing rising rent and the shift to online shopping. Over the next 2 days, they'll host a virtual auction of the remaining inventory, giving fans a chance to own a piece of the store's history. Steve's meant more than a retailer. It was a rehearsal room for the city's soul, and its loss is felt in every alley of downtown. Stay tuned for a heartwarming goodbye as the iconic Steve's Music Store closes its doors for the final time in Montreal.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From City Hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMna for the local Sunset Montreal's evening newscast.
Residents of Point St. Charles are alarmed as a pungent chemical odor wafts from a downtown decontamination site, sparking concerns over possible health impacts. The smell has lingered for days, prompting neighborhood anxiety. Local officials say the project follows safety protocols, but many fear long-term exposure. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. On Tuesday, July 21, 2026, I'm standing at the corner of Island Street and Augustin Canton Street, where a cloud of sharp chemical odor hangs over the construction site like a warning sign. Workers in orange vests pause, their faces scrunched as they lift soil from the old industrial lot, and the scent, metallic like a cleaning solvent, drifts down the narrow alleyways, slipping into open-air cafes and the front doors of low-rise apartments. Residents gather on stoops, children clutching their parents' hands, eyes narrowed as they try to locate the source. City officials in hard hats explain the smell is tied to decontamination excavation, yet they offer no timeline for when the air will clear. The community's unease is palpable, a collective breath held in uncertainty. For families here, the smell is more than a nuisance. It's a reminder that the ground beneath their homes is still healing. I'll keep you posted as the situation develops. Neighbors continue to voice concerns, hoping the city will provide clearer answers before the next shift begins. Carl Dumont, virtually at construction site at Island St. and Augustin Canton St.
On a bright Saturday afternoon in the St. Henry district, a routine traffic stop turned into a moment that rippled through the neighborhood. Officer Leah Dubois, known for her calm demeanor, pulled over a local driver near the corner of Rue St. Patrick and while checking paperwork was unexpectedly met with a barrage of insults that the driver filmed with his phone. The video quickly spread, and the man now faces criminal defamation charges for publicly denigrating an officer. What could have ended in division instead sparked conversation. Within days, the community center on Rue St. Felix opened its doors for an open mic dialogue, inviting residents, police, and youth to share stories and listen to one another. A local high school teacher led a workshop on respectful communication, and several neighbors signed up to mentor at-risk teens, hoping to replace anger with understanding. The scene that began with a heated exchange has become a catalyst for connection, reminding us that even the toughest moments can plant seeds of empathy. We're all learning how to listen a little better each day.
In the bustling heart of downtown Montreal, just steps from the historic Bell Centre, the Canadiens' front office gathered on a crisp autumn afternoon. General Manager Kent Hughes stood beside longtime scout Marie-Claude Bouchard as they announced the addition of Derek Lalonde to the coaching staff, naming him associate coach. Lalonde, a native of Saint Jean, brings a decade of experience shaping young talent in the AHL, where his teams were known for their relentless work ethic and community outreach programs that stocked local food banks after games. Inside the modest press room, a modest wooden table bore a single bouquet of red and white tulips, a quiet nod to the fans who lined the streets outside. As the announcement concluded, a teenage fan from the plateau who had followed Lalonde's career through online streams stepped forward, shaking his hand and thanking him for showing kids like me that hard work really does open doors. The moment captured more than a new hire. It underscored how a shared love of hockey can knit a city together, reminding us that every bench seat is also a place for community. We'll keep watching how this partnership unfolds.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the lunch break. That new commercial Morel mushroom farm shows how our province keeps innovating, even as we track rising gas prices and the spruce budworm threat. Stay tuned tomorrow for more stories that matter to you. I'm CJ Waterhouse. See you then.